Hi, today I'll be working out the answers to the May 2024 Paper 2 Variant 1 Math paper. Before we start, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Question 1. The diagram shows two sides of a parallelogram ABCD. Find the coordinates of point D. So if we have the lines AB and BC, the line AD should be such that it is equal in length and parallel to BC. And the line DC should be such that it is equal in length and parallel to AB. So to ensure this, you have to make sure that the horizontal and vertical distance between the points B and C is the same as the horizontal and vertical distance between the points A and D. So in this case, the horizontal distance between the points B and C is 1, 2, 3, 4 units to the right and 1, 2 units upwards. So in the same way, since D is 4 units to the right of A and 2 units upwards, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2. This is our point D. And the coordinates of point D is -3 in the x-axis, x coordinate is -3 and the y coordinate is +7. So that's our question 1 answer. Question 2. Geeta has a box of toys and she picks a toy at random from the box. The odds of her picking up a wooden toy is 0.6. What are the odds that she does not pick up a wooden toy? So when she picks up a toy, the toy can either be wooden or non-wooden. Therefore, if the total probability is 1, the odds of her not picking up a wooden toy is 1 minus the odds of her picking up a wooden toy. 1 minus 0.6, which is 0.4. Now for B. The box contains 3 types of toys, wooden, plastic or metal. Complete the table. So since the odds of her either not picking up a wooden toy is 0.4, this means that the odds of her picking up either a plastic or metal toy is 0.4, since these are non-wooden toys. And so since the number of toys that are plastic and metal are both the same, this means that she has an equal chance of either picking up a plastic or a metal toy. And since the odds of her picking up either a plastic or metal toy in general is 0.4, this means that the odds of her picking up one of these two is half of 0.4 each. So 0.2. Now, since 0.2 times x, where x is the total number of toys, is 14, this means that x is equal to 14 divided by 0.2, which is equal to 70. This means that 1/5 of all toys is 14, i.e. 1/5 of 70 toys is 14, which shows that if she has 70 toys, the odds of her picking up a plastic toy is 0.2 because plastic toys are 1/5 of the total toys available. So to find the number of wooden toys, that would just be equal to the odds of picking up a wooden toy, 0.6 times the total number of toys, which is x. So 0.6 times 70, which is equal to 42. Question 3. The table shows some information about two sequences. A. Complete the table. So for this question, you have to substitute the number 5 into n, since the question is asking you to complete the table. And so since the fifth term means that n is equal to 5, so for sequence A is just 60 minus 4 times 5, which is 60 minus 20, which is equal to 40. And for sequence B, n square minus 300, which is equal to 5 square minus 300, which is equal to 25 minus 300, which is equal to -275. Okay, question B. Find the smallest positive number in sequence B. So sequence B is defined as n square minus 300, which is the nth term. Now, any positive number means that the number has to be bigger than 0. So n square minus 300 is greater than 0. It can't be greater than or equal to because 0 is not a positive number. So in this case, if we add 300 to both sides, this cancels out this, which makes it n square is greater than 300. Now if we square root both sides, this means that n is greater than the positive square root of 300. N can't be greater than the negative square root of 300 because this implies that there are some negative n values, and n can only be positive integers since n is basically the variable that's in the that's involved in defining the nth term of a sequence. So n can be 1, 2, 3, so forth, to show that this is the first term, second term, third term, and so forth. So if n is bigger than the root of 300, this means that n is approximately greater than 17.32. And so since n is an integer, this means that the smallest n value that satisfies this inequality is n is equal to 18. Since 18 is bigger than 17.32 and it's the smallest possible n value. So if we sub in the value 18 into n square minus 300, this means that n square minus 300 is equal to 18 square minus 300, which is equal to 324 minus 300, which is equal to 24. Question 4. Find the greatest odd number that is a factor of 140 and a factor of 210. So the factors of 140 are 2 squared times 5 times 7. And the factors of 210 are 2 times 3 times 5 times 7. So the way of finding the HCF is finding all the common factors. However, in this case, the question is asking for the greatest odd number that's a factor of both 140 and 210. So this means that the HCF should be odd. This means that 2 cannot be a factor that's contributing to the HCF, because if you multiply any odd number by an even number, you get an even number. And since all prime factors except 2 are odd numbers, this means that if you multiply the rest of these factors by 2, which is an even number, this will produce an even number, which is not possible because the question is asking for an odd number. This means that the HCF, the biggest HCF that's an odd number, is all the factors that are not 2 that are common to both numbers. So in this case, 5 and 7, which is equal to 35. So for question 5, you just have to type in the numbers into your calculator. And for these type of questions, just ensure that you don't mix up numbers by chance. So 5a is 0.6 and 5b is 1024. For question 6, the diagram shows 5 kites that are congruent to kite ABCD. Each kite is joined to the next kite along one edge. Angle DAB is 40 degrees and DCE is a straight line. Find the value of x. So here we have 6 kites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these 6 kites are joined to each other. And we know that DCE is a straight line, i.e. the angle DCE is 180 degrees. Now, for any kite, the rules are that the sum of all the angles, like any four-sided polygon, add up to 360 degrees. Moreover, the side angles, these angles are equal in length. And the two perpendicular bisectors of a kite are perpendicular, which means that they meet at right angles. So in this case, we have 40 degrees for angle DAB. To find the angle of DCB, we can see that since all these angles are the same, since the kites are congruent, i.e. all the kites have the same shape and the same angles, this means that 6 times DCB, 6 times angle DCB is equal to 180 degrees. So angle DCB is equal to 180 divided by 6, which is equal to 30 degrees. Now that we have angle DAB and angle DCB, we can work out the angle X. Since angle ABC is equal to angle X, and so is ADC. So angle ABC and angle ADC are both equal to each other. And since angle ABC is equal to X, angle DBC is also equal to X. So if we have angle DAB plus angle DCB plus angle ABC plus angle ADC is equal to 360 degrees. This means that 40 plus 30 plus x is equal to 360 degrees. So 2x is equal to 360 degrees minus 70 degrees, which is 290 degrees. So x is equal to 290 divided by 2, which is equal to 145 degrees. Okay, question 7. The diagram shows a shape made from a triangle JKL and a semicircle with diameter JL. JKL is an isosceles right angle triangle with JK equal to JL equal to 12.8. So in this case, angle JK, the line JK and the line JL are the same, as you can see, 12.8 and 12.8. So question is asking for the area of the shape. So the area is equal to the triangle plus the semicircle, like the area of a triangle plus the area of the semicircle. So the area of a triangle is equal to half times base times height. And since the base and the height can be taken as JK and JL, this means that the triangle is equal to half times 12.8 times 12.8, which is 12.8 squared. Now the area of the semicircle is equal to pi r square divided by 2. Since the circle area is equal to pi r square, and a semicircle is half a circle, which is equal to pi r square divided by 2. Now since the diameter is 12.8, as you can see, 12.8, this means that the radius of the semicircle is 12.8 divided by 2, which is equal to 6.4. So the area is equal to pi times 6.4 square divided by 2. And this answer rounds up to 146. Question B, calculate the perimeter of the shape. So the perimeter is asking for the length JK plus the length JL plus the length KL, since these three lines contribute to the perimeter of the shape. So JK plus JL plus KL. Now JK is already given as 12.8, so you can just put that in there. 12.8 plus JL. JL is clearly half the circumference of the semicircle, half the circumference of a circle, which is equal to, and since the circumference is equal to 2 pi r, half a circumference is equal to pi r. And so since r is equal to 6.4 as given here, half a circumference is equal to pi times 6.4. So 6.4 pi, that's equal to JL. Now KL is equal, since the triangle JKL is a Pythagorean triangle with a right angle, this means that it follows the a square plus b square is equal to c square. And since the hypotenuse is LK, since it is opposite to the right angle, this means that 12.8 square plus 12.8 square is equal to KL squared. So KL is equal to the root of 12.8 square plus 12.8 square, which is equal to 12.8 times 2. So that we just put that in there. It's important to not round up values in intermediate workings, since it could lead to a skewed final result that deviates from the actual answer that the mark scheme expects. So in this case, the answer rounds up to 51.0 for 3SF. Okay, question 8. These are the first 5 terms of a sequence. Find an expression for the nth term of the sequence. So if you find the common difference between the terms, i.e. what numbers added to 11 to make it 18, what numbers added to 18 to make it 25, and so on. So in this case, the first difference is 18 minus 11, which is plus 7, 25 minus 18 plus 7, 32 minus 25 plus 7, and 39 minus 32 plus 7. So since there's a common difference D, this means that this is an arithmetic sequence. Since for any arithmetic sequence, the common difference between the terms is always constant. So the nth term for an arithmetic sequence is equal to A plus D times n minus 1, where A is the first term and D is the common difference. So since A, the first term, is 11, this means that it's equal to 11 plus 7n minus 1, which is equal to 11 minus 7 plus 7n, which is equal to 4 plus 7n. This is your A answer. Oh, sorry, there's no A part and B part. This is just question 8 answer. Question 9. The value of a car is $8,000 and each year the value of the car decreases exponentially by 25%. So the equation for an exponential question is the principal times 1 plus or minus r percent to the power of n, where n is the number of the intervals. So like in this case 3 years, since this r percent is applied every year for 3 years. And p is the initial value. So the initial value is 8,000 times 1 minus, it's minus in this case because if it's increasing then it's positive since the value increases over time, but if it's negative this means that the value is decreasing over time. So in this case, since the value is decreasing exponentially over 3 years, this means that we use a negative symbol to show that this initial value 8,000 is decreasing over time. So 1 minus 25% to the power of n, where n is the number of time intervals. So in this case 3, which is equal to 8,000 by 1 minus 25 by 100. Since 25% is equal to 25 by 100 to the power of 3, 8,000 0.75 to the power of 3, which gives you an answer of exactly 3375. And this is the value of the car after 3 years. And so the value lost is equal to 8,000 minus 3375. So question 10. A maid invests $1,500 in an account. The account pays a compound interest. Compound means that we are using exponential equations again, at a rate of r percent per year. At the end of 8 years, the value of his investment is $1,656.73. So find the value of r. So if the value of his investment after 8 years is defined as 1,500 times 1 plus, we are using plus in this case because the value of his account is increasing over time. So 1 plus r percent to the power of n, where n is equal to 8 because it's happening 8 years. This is equal to 1656.73. So 1 plus r by 100, since r percent is equal to r by 100, to the power of 8 is equal to 1656.73 divided by 1,500. So 1 plus r by 100 is equal to 1656.73 by 1,500 to the power of 1 over 8. Since if you take both sides and put 1 over 8 as a power above it, this 8 power and this 1/8 power cancel out, therefore removing the power from the left hand side altogether. And so 1 plus r by 100 is equal to 1656.73 divided by 1,500, and the whole thing is to the power of 1 over 8. So r by 100 is equal to this chunky right side minus 1, since you're removing 1 from both sides. And r is equal to 100 times the right hand side, so 1566.73 by 1,500, 1 over 8 minus 1. Since if you multiply both sides by 100, this removes 100 from the left hand side as a denominator. So r is equal to 100 times 1656.73 divided by 1,500, this to the power of 1 over 8 minus 1. So r is rounded value is 1.25. Note that you do not write it as 1.25%. You do not do this because r is only given as r percent in the question above at the rate of r percent per year. So if you write 1.25%, this implies that it's 1.25 divided by 100%, which would make it even smaller. So 1.25 divided by 10,000. Question 11. Find the inequalities that define the unshaded region R. So as you can see, the shape R is created through 4 lines, 2 horizontal ones, 1 vertical one, and 1 diagonal one. So let's first find the horizontal lines. So the first one is equal to y is equal to 1, since the value y is constant throughout and the value y is 1. The second one is y is equal to 5, and even this, as you can see, since y is constant throughout and y is equal to 5. and the vertical line is equal to x is equal to 6, as you can see, since x is constant throughout. And the diagonal line, you can take any 2 points in this line. This one is 1 comma 1 and this one is 5 comma 5. So in this case 1 comma 1, sorry, I'll use a different color since I've been writing on the answers in green so far, in blue so far. 1 comma 1 and 5 comma 5. So m is equal to 5 minus 1 by 5 minus 1, since m is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So it's equal to 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. So c is equal to y minus mx. So we take 1 by 1 as the y and x values. This means that c is equal to 1 minus m, which is 1, times x, which is 1. So 1 minus 1, which is 0. Therefore, if we write y is equal to mx plus c, this is equal to 1x plus 0. Therefore, y is equal to x. So the fourth line is just y is equal to x. Now, this is the first part of the question done, but the main part is writing the inequalities that define it. So for this, we have to ensure two things. One, that for any dotted lines that we see, the values themselves are not counted in the final inequality. And for any straight lines, they are counted. So for the first line, if you take y is equal to 1, we can see that the range, that the region that's valid lies above this line. This means that y should be bigger than 1. Now, since y is equal to 1 is a straight line and not a dotted line, this means that y is equal to 1 is also valid. Therefore, y is greater than or equal to 1. For the second part, for the second horizontal line, if we see y is equal to 5, we can see that the region is below this line, which means that y is less than 5. And since this line is also a straight line and not a dotted line, this means that y's can be equal to 5 as well. For the vertical line, x is equal to 6. 1 second. We can see that the region is to the left of x is equal to 6. This means that the values of x are meant to be less than 6. Like the values of x are less than 6. So x is less than 6. X cannot be equal to 6 because this is a dashed line and not a straight line, which means that 6 itself is not a valid value for x in this region. So the fourth one, y is equal to x. 1 second. As we can see, the region lies below the line y is equal to x, which means that the y values are meant to be less than y is equal to x. Therefore, y is less than x. Y cannot be less than or equal to x because, again, it's a dashed line, which means that the values of y where it's equal to x are also not valid. Now, if you can see, the first two inequalities, y is greater than or equal to 1 and y is less than or equal to 5, are both involving the same variable. So therefore, we can make one single inequality where 1 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 5. Since y is greater than or equal to 1, means that all the values of y can be above 1, and y is less than or equal to 5 means that all values of y should be less than or equal to 5. So this is the range of values of y that are acceptable, which is 1 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 5. As such, we can rewrite these inequalities in the final answer, where 1 is less than or equal to y less than or equal to 5, comma x is less than 6, and y is less than x. These are your final answers, since it cannot be simplified any further. Now, question tells, solve the simultaneous equations and you must show all your working. Since the question did not ask for a specific method like elimination or substitution, this means that we can use whatever method we want to solve this equation. So in this case, I'll just rewrite it as a decimal to make it simpler. 1.5x plus 5y is equal to 5, and 4x minus 3y is equal to 46. So if you multiply both sides by 3, this produces 4.5, sorry, wait. If you multiply the upper equation by 3 and the lower equation by 5, this makes the coefficient of y the same as an absolute value. So since 5 times 3 is positive 15 and negative 3 times 5 is negative 15, you can use this for elimination. So for the first equation, it will become 1.5 times 3, which is 4.5x, plus 5 times 3, which is 15y, which is equal to 5 times 3, which is 15. And the second equation, and the second equation is equal to 4 times 5, which is 20x, minus 3 times 5, which is minus 15y, is equal to 46 times 5, which is 230. Now if we add both of these equations, we can see that 4.5 plus 20 is 24.5x, and 15y plus minus 15y is 15y minus 15y, which is equal to 0, is equal to 15 plus 230, which is 245. So x is equal to 245 divided by 24.5, which is equal to 10. So this is the value of x. Now to get the value of y, we can take any of the two equations. So in this case, I'll take the first equation. So 3 by 2x plus 5y is equal to 5. Since x is equal to 10, this means that 3 times 10 divided by 2 plus 5y is equal to 5. So 5y is equal to 5 minus 15, which is equal to minus 10. So y is equal to negative 10 divided by 5, which is equal to negative 2. Now for question 13, the diagram shows a cyclic quadrilateral. Find the value of p. So for any cyclic quadrilateral, i.e. a quadrilateral that's enclosed within a circle, the two opposite angles will add up to 180. So 4m plus 38 plus p will add up to 180 degrees, and 4m plus 5m will add up to 180 degrees. So the question is asking you to find the value of p. So for that, we can first see that if we add 5m and 4m, which are opposite angles, this means that 9m is equal to 180 degrees and m is equal to 180 divided by 9, which is equal to 20 degrees. So that's the first part done. Now we can use the value of m to see that when 4m plus 38 plus p, and 4m plus 38 plus p is equal to 180 degrees, since this angle and this angle are also opposite angles, this means that 4 times 20 plus 38 plus p is equal to 180 degrees. So p is equal to 180 degrees minus 4 times 20 minus 38, which is equal to 180 minus 80 minus 38, which is equal to 100 minus 38, which is equal to 62 degrees. So that's your value of p. Question 14. The diagram shows a circle with radius 9 centimeters. Calculate the area of the shaded major sector. So the area of a sector is equal to the angle divided by 360 times the area of a circle, which is pi r square. This is because the fraction of any circle, the fraction of the angle of the sector with regards to the circle as a whole is equal to the ratio of the area of the sector as compared to the ratio of the circle as a whole. So in this case, since the question is asking for the area of the major sector, this means that the sector should be bigger, the bigger sector, and actually the shaded one as well, so this sector. And so we should first find the angle of the major sector, which is equal to 360 degrees minus 48, since 48 is the angle of the minor sector. So 360 minus 48 is equal to 312 degrees. So the area would be equal to 312 by 360 times pi r square. So in this case, since r is equal to 9, since the radius of the circle is equal to 9 itself, this means that the area is equal to 312 by 360 times pi times 9 squared, which is equal to 70.2 pi, which rounds to 3SF to 221. For question 15, write 0.146 where 4, 6 are recurrent digits as a fraction in its simplest form. You must show while you're working. So since there are two recurrent digits, we will first write x as a variable is equal to 0.146 dot, where dots are above 4, 6. This means that it's equal to 0.146, 4, 6, 4, 6, and so forth. So since there are two recurrent digits, we have to use 10 times 2, since there are two recurrent digits, times x is equal to 10 squared times 0.14646 dot dot dot. So 100x is equal to 14.64646, so forth. So now that we have x and 100x, we can subtract 100x minus x, which is equal to 14.64646 dot 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 minus 0.14646 dot dot dot. So if we write it as this, 14.64646 minus 0.14646, we can cancel off 6, cancel off 4, cancel off 6, cancel off 4. 6 minus 1 is 5, 4 minus 0 is 4, and 1 minus 4 continues, 14.5. So 100x minus x is equal to 99x. So 99x is equal to 14.5. X is equal to 14.5 divided by 99, which is equal to 145 divided by 990, which when simplified is equal to 29 divided by 198. It's important to give it in its simplest form, which means that you can't write it as 14.5 divided by 99 or as 145 divided by 990, since neither of these are the simplest form. The simplest form is 29 divided by 198. Note that if there were only one recurring digit instead of 2, you would use 10, not 10 squared, but 10 to the power of 1, so 10x, and you'd use 10x and you'd use 9x here. So since there are two recurring digits, we use 100, and if there were 3, we'd use 1000x and find the value of 999x. For question 16a, in the Venn diagram, shade the regions M in M prime intersects N prime. So M prime intersects M prime basically means the region of the Venn diagram where there's neither M nor N. M prime would be defined as the region that's not within M. So like this, since M is this circle over here. So region not in M. And M prime is the region that's not in N. So everything that's outside of this green circle. So like this. So there are 4 regions to think about. One is the inner M region. In this M region, there's only green and not green and black, which means that there's no intersection happening there. So this is not a valid region. In the intersection of M and N, this part, there's neither green nor black, which means that there's no intersection at all whatsoever, which is also wrong. And in the N circle, there's only black, which means that this too is invalid. Only the outer regions, this part, is there both green, only the outer regions, like this part over here, is there both green and black, which means that only the outer region is a valid region that should be shaded, since only the outer region is where M prime meets M prime. Therefore, you can shade 16a as the outer region. Yeah. For question B, find the number of elements that is both in B and is either in A prime or C. So in this case, we can treat intersections as and unions as or. So if we break down this thing, this means that the question is asking for the elements that are in B and it's either in A prime or in C. I think I'll use a different color to like clearly define the and or parts. Is equal to and union is equal to or. So B and either in A or in C. So in this case, we can first find the inner bracket, which is equal to A prime union C. So the elements that are either not in A or in C. So all the elements that are not in A, where A is equal to this circle over here, the elements not in A are 20, 9, 4, and 3. Simple enough. Now the question is asking for either A prime or in C. So C is defined as this green circle over here in this case. So C has 9 and 4, which are also in A prime, but they also have 18 and 10, which is not in A prime. So the total elements selected so far are these 5, since they are either in A prime or in C. But the question is asking for the elements that are both in B and in either A prime or in C. So in this case, if we circle B as a yellow circle, the question only wants the elements that are within B. The only wants the selected elements that are also within B. So in this case, we have 10, 4, and 3. These are the only 3 valid elements that basically satisfy all criteria. The criteria being it's in B and it's either in A prime or it's not in C. So since we have 10, 3, and 4, which are the final selected elements, this is equal to 10 plus 4 plus 3, which is equal to 17. So B is 17. For question 17, calculate the area of triangle ABC. The area of a triangle is equal to half times base. In this case, we are using the sine rule. So half times A times B times sine capital C. So in this case, if we have A, B, C, and this is sine B, since it's opposite to B, this is sine C. Sorry. This is sine C, since it's opposite to C. And this is sine A, since it's opposite to A. If you have A and you have B and you have sine C, you can find the area of the triangle. I'll just erase all the unnecessary parts. There, yeah. A times B times sine C. So the area of a triangle will be equal to half times A, where A is equal to 6.7 centimeters. So 6.7 times B, where B is 5.9 centimeters, times sine C, where C itself is 81 degrees. So times sine 81 degrees. Now this rounds to approximately 19.5, rounded to 3SF. For question 18, the diagram shows the graph of y is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 for the domain of negative 3 less than equal to x less than equal to 1.5. By drawing a suitable straight line, the straight line is any line that follows y is equal to mx plus c. Solve the equation x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 is equal to 2x for the domain negative 3 less than equal to x less than equal to 1.5. So in this case, since this curved cubic graph over here is equal to y is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2, the question is asking to draw a line such that the points where the line and the graph meet is equal follows this equation. So since x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 is the same in both of these. The question is asking for a straight line such that if the straight line meets this cubic graph over here, this graph, the points where they meet would satisfy this equation, where x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 is equal to 2x. So in this case, it's pretty straightforward. You just have to draw the line y is equal to 2x. So the straight line would be y is equal to 2x. Since if you draw the straight line y is equal to 2x, the points where the graph, the points where the cubic graph and the points where the straight line meet, these 2 points would satisfy this equation where both x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2, which is the yellow graph over here, which is this yellow graph, the y values are equal to the y value of y is equal to 2x, which is shown by this line, and the x values are also the exact same. So in this case, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2 is equal to 2x. The values of x and the values of y are both the same. So you have to draw the line y is equal to 2x. So in this case, if I just... Since y is equal to 2x and there's no y-intercept, this means that it just has a gradient of 2 and that's it. So it passes through the origin. No, that's not it, because it does not pass through the origin in this case. It might be a trial and error with an iPad. I think we have it, yeah. So this line is equal to y is equal to 2x, and this black line, this black cubic graph is equal to y is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2. So in these 2 points where they meet, this point and this point, the x values of the 2 graphs are the same, as you can see. In this case, the x value is equal to approximately 0.55, and in this case the x value is approximately 0.85. No, approximately 0.9, sorry, in this case 0.9. Yeah. So the x values are the same, and so are the y values. Since in this case the y value is approximately 1.8 over here, and the y value is approximately -1 over here. So since the x coordinate and the y coordinate of the two graphs are the same in these two coordinates, the question is asking for the x coordinates of these 2 points. Since at these 2 points the x coordinate of both the graphs are the exact same, and they satisfy this inequality since they meet. Intersection means that they are equal, in this case both the x and the y values. So if you find the 2x coordinates, where the first one is approximately 0.5 over here, it's more... wait, actually if I make an informed guess, I'd say it's more than 0.55. How do I draw it? Yeah, approximately 0.55, and it's negative in this case because it's on the negative x-axis side, and positive 0.9. So positive 0.9. So to clarify one last time, the black cubic graph shows the graph of y is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2. So this equation over here, this is the same as this. And so the question is asking to draw a straight line such that the points where the straight line meet the graph of y is equal to x cubed plus 4x squared minus 2, the points where they meet, the x coordinates and the y coordinates of both these points should be the exact same. Since at these points the graphs meet, which means that the point satisfies both these graphs since it's within both of these graphs. So in this case, the x coordinates of both these points are -0.55 and positive 0.9. Question 19, a's factor is completely 12n square minus 75t square. So if we write the factors of 12 and 75 to find the HCF, this time it's not just an odd HCF, it can be any HCF. Although in this case, since 75 is an odd number, this means that 2 is not a prime factor that's within 75. So 75 is 3 times 5 squared, and 12 is 3 times 2 squared. I should write, I think, by ascending order of value. So 2 square times 3. So in this case, the HCF is just 3, since 3 is the only common factor between them. So if you put 3 in the outside bracket and multiply, so 3 times 12m square divided by 3 minus 75t square divided by 3. So in this case, we have 3 by 4m square, since 12 divided by 3 is 4, minus 25 t square, since 75 divided by 3 is 25. So 3 is equal to 4m square minus 25t square. However, the question doesn't stop here. Let me erase this for space. So as you can see, 4 and 25 are both square numbers, since 4 is equal to 2 square and 25 is equal to 5 squared. And for any question where a square minus b square is equal to a plus b, a minus b, this is an identity. And in this case, since a square is equal to 4m square, where a is equal to 2m, since 4m squared rooted would be 4 times m square, which is equal to 2 times m, equal to 2m. And in the same way, 25t square can be rewritten as 5t the whole thing squared, because 25t square is equal to 25 square rooted, the root of 25 times the root of t squared, which is equal to 5 times t, which is equal to 5t. So since 4m square minus 25t square can be rewritten as a square minus b square, i.e. this identity here, this means that we can rewrite the inner bracket as 3 times a plus b, which is 2m plus 5t. A plus b is done. Now a minus b. So 2m minus 5t. So in this case, the final answer will be 3 times 2m plus 5t times 2m minus 5t. I think decrease the size, zoom in to make it all fit in the same line. 3 times 2m plus 5t, 2m minus 5t. So for this question, you always look out for any square numbers. So in this case, we have the square numbers 4 and the square number of 25. Since in IGCSE, they usually throw these kind of square numbers to try to make you break down this big bracket into even smaller brackets through identities such as this a square minus b square identity. Since 4m square minus 25t square can be rewritten as a square minus b square, where a is equal to 2m and b is equal to 5t. And a square minus b square in turn can be rewritten as a plus b times a minus b. That's the a part done. Now for the b part, xy plus 15 plus 3y minus 5x. So if we put all the x terms, if we rewrite it as 5x plus xy plus 3y plus 15. So we can rewrite this equation as x times 5 plus y plus 3 times 5 plus y. So since this bracket is the same, we can take the terms in the outer bracket, the coefficients of the outer bracket, and add them together as well. So x plus 3, and x and 3 are the outer terms, times 5 plus y. So the final answer can be written as x plus 3 times 5, I'll make the 5 more clear, 5 plus y. Okay, question 20. Solve the equation x sin x plus 6 is equal to 1 for the domain 0 is less than equal to x less than equal to 360 degrees. So if you have 8 sine x plus 6 is equal to 1, if we subtract 6 from both sides, we get 8 sine x is equal to 1 minus 6, which is equal to minus 5. Now if we divide 8 from both sides, this cancels off, we get sine x is equal to negative 5 divided by 8, which is negative 0.625. Now x in turn, since sin x produces the negative value, the ways of finding x is 180 degrees plus the sine inverse of the positive value of this, which is 0.625. X is equal to 360 degrees minus sine inverse of 0.625. I'll explain why we use these two rules in particular in just a second after I get the final answers. So the first answer is 218.7 degrees rounded to 1 dp, since all angles should be given as 1 dp. And the second answer is 321.3 degrees rounded to 1 dp. So 218.7 and 321.3. Now the reason that we use these two rules is that if we draw a graph like this of ASTC, where A is all, S is sine, T is tan, and C is cos. If we just write, if we have sine minus 1, 180 degrees minus 10 minus 1 of y, 180 degrees plus. So if you have, for example, sine x is equal to positive y, the ways of finding x is 1 all, it's 1 y. So the first way of finding x, the first value of x is if we sub in sine minus 1 over here, since all include sines, so we take x is equal to sine minus 1 y, since we follow this rule over here. And the second one, x is equal to the region where there's sine. Since in the region where there's all and where there's sine, this implies that this accounts for positive sine values. So we sub in sine for this gap over here, 180 minus sine minus 1 y. So 180 minus sine minus 1 y. So we use these two rules, sine minus 1 y and 180 minus sine inverse y, in the regions where there's all. Since all basically means sine plus sine, cos, and tan, the positive of all three of these applies here. And sine, which is the region where sine, we use the rule for sine positive values. Now, if sine x was equal to negative y, in this case, we use the two rules of the regions where there's no sine. So in this case, tan and cos. So you sub in sine over here, and take x as 180 degrees plus sine minus 1 y, where we take the positive value and not the negative value, so the absolute value essentially, and we take x is equal to this rule, 360 degrees minus sine minus 1 y. So now we use the same thing for the cos and tan. So if we had, one second, if we had cos x was equal to positive y, then we take the two regions where cos is positive. So in this case, all, where we always take the positive values, and cos. So we take these two rules. So x is equal to cos minus 1 y, and x is equal to 360 degrees minus cos minus 1 y, since you put cos here. So all would be the region. We always take all when the something x produces a positive number. And if cos x was negative, if it is negative, we wouldn't take all in cos, we instead take sine and tan. And we take the two rules of these two regions. So in this case, x would be equal to 180 degrees minus, in this case, cos minus 1, and in this case, cos minus 1, minus cos minus 1 y, and 180 degrees plus cos minus 1 y, where y is again the positive value of this. So we don't just take negative y. Now the final one, tan, works in the same way. If tan was positive, one second, if tan is positive, then we would take the rules of all and tan. And if tan is negative, we'd use the rules of sine and cos instead. And sub in the value of tan into this dash over here. So dash, tan, 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 and so forth. So that's how we find the inverses of sine, cos, and tan when sine x or cos x or tan x produces a positive or negative number. So question 21 says, the diagram shows a cuboid. HD is equal to 4, EH is equal to 6.5, and EF is equal to 9.1. Calculate the angle between CE and the base CDHG. So to do this, we could like make a triangle where there was CE and H. Since E is vertically above H, and H and C, you can have a line between them if you can find out the line between them, and C and E are also connected. So since these 3 points are connected by straight lines, they produce a triangle. And since H and C are in the base, right, like H and this is the base, and this is a vertical line. Since this is vertical, and this is the base, this means that if a vertical line and any line that is within the base, they produce a right angle. Since the vertical and the base would produce a right angle. This is base, this is vertical. So in this case, we have ECH, where CH, the line CH and HE produce a right angle triangle. So if you want to find an angle between CE and the base CDHD, it would just be this angle over here. So you can use the sine, cos, or tan rules depending on what lines we find. So since we know that HE is equal to 6.5 centimeters, and we know that EF is equal to 9.1 centimeters, this means that CD is 9.1 centimeters and DH is 4 centimeters. So through this, we can find the length of the line CH. Since CD, since CD and DH are also right angle triangles, this means that CH would be equal to the hypotenuse of this triangle CDH. And this line in turn, CH, can also be used to find the angle between the base and CE. So to find CH, we should just use the simple rule where a square plus b square is equal to c square. Therefore, C is equal to the root of a square plus b square. Since we have a is equal to 9.1 and b is equal to 4, this is equal to 9.1 square plus 4 square, which is equal to 98.81. This is equal to the length of CH, 98.81. So since we have both the opposite, if we redraw this, triangle over here, CHE, we have 98.81 CHE, and we wanted to find the angle between the base, which includes CH, this is the base essentially, right, the base region, and the angle and between the base, which is CH, and the line CE, which is this line over here. To find this angle, we could just use the tan rule, since tan is equal to opposite divided by alternate, and since the opposite is equal to HE, since 6.5 over here, and the opposite and the adjacent is 98.81, like shown over here, tan angle of HCE is equal to O divided by A, which is equal to 6.5 divided by 98.81 square rooted. I forgot square root, I'm sorry. Square rooted. So in this case, if you find HCE as tan inverse of 6.5 divided by root of 98.81, you would get approximately 33.2 degrees rounded to 1 dp. So 33.2 degrees. Bag A and bag B each contain red counters and blue counters only. Stephen picks a counter at random from bag A and Jen picks a counter at random from bag B. The probability that Stephen picks a red counter is 0.4, and the probability that Stephen and Jen both pick a red counter is 0.25, and the probability that Stephen and Jen both pick a blue counter. So if we make a possibility tree where like Stephen can either pick up a red counter or a blue counter, and Jen can either pick up a red counter or a blue counter. So since the odds of Stephen picking up a red counter is 0.4, this means that the odds of him picking up a blue counter is 1 minus 0.4. Since he can either pick up a red counter or a blue counter, there's no other events. And so since R plus B is equal to 1, B is equal to 1 minus R. And so we don't know we don't know the odds Jen picking up a red counter from the question itself, so we can put it as X for now. And the odds of Jen picking up a blue counter is 1 minus X, for the same reason as above for Stephen. So if the odds of Stephen and Jen both picking up a red counter is 0.25, this means that 0.4 times X is 0.25. The reason that we use X, that we use multiply and not add, is because the probability that Stephen and Jen both pick up a red counter is 0.25. If it is Stephen or Jen picking up a red counter, then we use add. So if in probability questions, if the question asks for and, you have to multiply the two events. If the question asks for or for two events, like either this happens or this happens, and we add two events. You can think about it intrinsically, right? Because if the odds of two events both happening would have to be less than or equal to the odds of one of the events happening. Whereas if you want to check if either one of two events happens, you're like adding the odds, because either one of those two events could happen. Therefore, you're adding the probabilities since either one of those two events could happen. So in this case, since it's 0.4 times X is equal to 0.25, we could divide 0.25 by 4 to get the value of X. Which is equal to 0.625. Now, since we have the value of X, we can get the value of 1 minus X, since this is equal to 1 minus 0.625, which is equal to 0.375. So the odds of Stephen picking up a blue counter is 0.6, since 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6. And the odds of Jen picking up a blue counter is 0.375. So as said before, the odd that Stephen and Jen both pick up a blue counter is the odds of Stephen picking up a blue counter, which is 0.6, times the odds of Jen picking up a blue counter, which is 0.375. We use and because we need both of these events to occur, so we multiply both of them based on this rule, and multiply or add. So 0.6 times 0.375 is equal to 0.225. And that's the probability that they both pick up a blue counter. Thank you so much for watching.